at Gulf Breeze Recovery is when I was able to tap into like slower thinking, slower living, taking it kind of moment by moment. So it's helped to kind of stay present in each day. Before I went into GBR, it was a very dark inner world that I had. The way that I showed up to everyday life was terrified and anxious and nervous all the time. And I know that I've spoken to this in the past, but it really was at GBR that I was able to wake up and I started feeling happy and just calm and collected and present. That was huge for me. And so the biggest change for me has been the perception, because my perception of life is what just changed all of it. It's my life. It's how I do show up to my everyday life and to my family and to friends and coworkers and stuff. So before it was I'd been told that I had a great smile, but I wasn't smiling on the inside, and that was huge for me because I would like put on a great face all the time, but now it's like I feel that happiness, and that's what drives the rest. When you're at Gulf Breeze Recovery, it's the perfect place to really practice all that you're learning. And then you hit back to the real world. It was interesting in the beginning because I kind of felt when I got out of Gulf Breeze Recovery that, everyone's going to understand this, they're going to understand the principles, and and that's not quite how it was. It was, I understood it, but then I had to apply that, and then I had to also check my ego to not change people to be the way that I wanted them to be. Actually, now just took my first manager position I've ever had in my life. My life had kind of exploded, as we know, before I got to Gulf Breeze Recovery. I went in there without a job and I was broke. And so to be regaining all of that, it's just a great practice for me, because now what's great too is it's kind of also added on to like a spiritual practice for me, like everything kind of has in this way. It's a great daily practice of what we're taught with the knowledge at GPR, and really continue to check my ego a lot. So I think that was another thing, is you ask about getting out of recovery and you think, I'm going to have it 100% of the time. And that's like not the case at all. But it's okay, it's good, it's a lot better. My life's so much better than it was before. So I started, the most important to me to rebuild was my family relationships. And that's been great. Then outside of that, it's me choosing who I'll have. And the quality, really, I chose a lot of it from people I knew at Gulf Breeze Recovery. So I've chosen to kind of stick with them, stick with those that I met through the program, either helping, while I was there, or, afterwards, as we have our group chats, we really it's a family. We've all gotten pretty close to each other, so I really look forward to those meetings that we have every Monday. It helps remind me of what we learned. It helps me to feel connected. What's great is you recapture yourself at Gulf Breeze Recovery, okay? So I feel like you understand that life is about choices, and your choices as well in that. And so it's nothing to necessarily fear, but you need to remind yourself that daily, because others are going to test you. Others are going to test your strength and your ability. So that's why a lot of the holistic healing techniques that they use, like the yoga for me and the meditation every day, helps me to keep out of my thoughts and my mind, but also helps me to keep grounded in where I'm at now, because I am in somewhere different. My feelings on addiction now are very much different than they were prior to going to Gulf Breeze Recovery. One thing that I came across was, in this life we love to use labels to describe situations, but there's something deeper to all of us that you cannot label. I do feel that I was at dis-ease. My body, my mind were at dis-ease, but it was not a disease. And I think that's huge triumph in my life, because prior to Gulf Breeze Recovery, those were the thoughts that I had. I'm a failure, I am an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict. And what life do you have when you feel like that? I mean, it was depressing, it was really sad. And so I've already lived that life. And what I loved about Gulf Breeze Recovery and the program and the faculty were that the minute you walked in, you weren't diseased, you weren't broken, they saw that innate health within you, and they helped you to bring that back out. It's not like Collin changed completely when he got out of recovery. It's more that I lead with my best self, my higher self, as I call it. So to be given this chance, I don't know, it feels great to have that opportunity again. For me, when I was in the 12-step model, I guess it kind of just terrified me, because like some people would say like I'm powerless, and then they would continue to have struggles, and I just felt like at the same time there was others that didn't, and I'm like, well, what's the difference there? Because that's where there's wisdom in anything, right? There's wisdom in all programs and any recovery. So those people, I believe, were able to capture that essence of you are that power, you're able to recover yourself. So that's what I recaptured at Gulf Breeze Recovery, was that understanding, like, oh, this is my decision, and I do make my own decisions every day. Another thing about it was there had to be a better way to feel sober, right? Like, I didn't want to be sober and miserable. I didn't want to go, and that we speak to the striving to thriving. The principles, there's been, they're starting to pick up some traction. So they had one of their first East Coast conference in Charlottesville, Virginia. And so Gulf Breeze Recovery was there to speak on the addiction track, and it was an honor to go there and hear Barnett and others speak to the program and to the stats of how well it's worked, and then also for us to share our story. You choose different interests, and so for myself, what am I gonna do differently? What are my interests? And outside of my spiritual practice is preaching this with others and sharing it, and also like learning more through others, because there's still a lot to learn. That's what is most exciting, is you get the base like kind of knowledge at GBR, but then it's applying it for the rest of your life. So a quote that I love that I've shared since recovery too is you keep waiting on somebody. Right, you keep on waiting somebody to save you. You keep on waiting for somebody to make it better. You keep waiting on somebody to show you the way. And then you realize that you are that somebody. I was a victim going into Gulf Breeze Recovery. It was, this happened to me, so this, then this happened. It's your fault. You need to be able to bring awareness to your responsibility for yourself. That you, no matter how much you felt that decision lied in somebody else, or some situation where you always had a choice. I don't know, the joy in it all though is knowing that I no longer care to be perfect. There's the gifts of imperfection, right? There's the gifts in knowing that you can always improve who you are. But that I got to really start that at Gulf Breeze Recovery.